You're listening to On the Move with Maki. I'm your host, Makisha Noel, or Maki for short. The goal of this podcast is to elevate the stories of diverse, multi-passionate creators in and outside of the marketing and advertising industry. They are the ones who stay ahead of the curve in this ever-evolving world. So, all episodes will provide listeners with the tools to help make decisions in their creative journeys while highlighting the trends shaping the internet and real life. Excited to have you here. Come on in.
Welcome to On the Move with Maki. I am so excited to have you here this afternoon in the studio with me. Y'all, I am so happy that y'all are still tuning in and listening to episodes, reaching out, just kind of sharing your feedback and like what you learned and picked up from my guests. Thank you so much. I think it's so important to have this platform to share the stories of diverse creators, movers and shakers, entrepreneurs. Yes. I think that's so important, especially for this generation where we're just like creating our own path. So thank you for tuning in with me. We're On the Move with Maki. I am so excited to introduce my guest this afternoon. And it's going to be a real good conversation. Because I have my best friend in the studio. I'm literally screaming into the microphone. I have my best friend. If you follow me on Instagram, obviously, you're going to see what it is and what it ain't, what we be getting into. But I'm so excited to on an official basis.
Right.
And we, keep it proper for the camera. But
straighten up.
I'm so happy to have Briana Philippe here. Let me tell you a little bit about my girl. As a community builder and digital strategist, Briana is dedicated. And let me say Bri, because it's Bri for sure.
It's Bri.
It's going to be very hard for me to keep saying Briana.
No. And I want your guests to recognize me as Bri, so that works.
Oh, period. Y'all know it.
Yeah, we all family here.
Yes. I love this. So, Bri is dedicated to creating experiences that inspire and engage people on and offline through creativity, culture, and community. She serves as a connector for organizations and unique audiences. Strategically cultivating growth opportunities for all parties involved. With years of experience in marketing strategy and event production, she has worked with agencies, nonprofits, Fortune 500 companies, and global enterprises like Subway, Norwegian Cruise Lines, don't look, come on now, Yelp Inc., and more to create virtual and live interactive spaces. She is also a first-generation Haitian American, born and raised in the 305, right. Miami, Florida. Bri has been passionate about amplifying the voices of minority groups. She has done it through Strong Women, Strong Girls, which is where we met literally about 10 years ago. Yes, we were co-mentors in different campuses. She is also the co-founder of Create Cultivate. She's like, oh, Maki, I don't know about the titles. We ain't even do all that.
We ain't talking about that yet.
We ain't all that yet. But Bri is my valiant. Why is that the word valiant? I'm talking about a warrior. Partner with Creative Culture Tribe. And she has also worked with Create Cultivate Inc. She's also a graduate of FIU in South Florida. Oh, period. And a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. I don't know what I should say it like that. God. Bro, I'm serious around with this intro.
Oh my God.
But y'all, please welcome Briana Philippe.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. It is so weird to hear someone read your intro back to you. Because it's like, oh, I forgot that I did those things. But thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes.
So happy to be in conversation
and
with
she's
you.
Looking so good too. I'm just like, damn. God. I told her, girl, I'm gonna be streetwear cute. And she said, oh, I'm
well, I was technically already on the road. I didn't get that text.
Oh, my bad. Sheesh.
No, joking.
No, I'm super excited to have you here. This has literally been a long time in the making, us trying to have a podcast episode. Because I literally feel like every single conversation we have, I'm just like, man, I wish I could like sneak a mic up in here. I wish I could sneak a the mic up in here so we can like record this. Put this on the podcast.
seriously. Yeah, no. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I value our friendship so much, because we can literally talk about anything and we can go so deep. Right?
Yeah.
Like we go into things and we get really curious and excited. And then we explore those ideas. And it's one of the things I love most about you.
Oh,
I mean, you're all right, I guess.
I've been like, girl, do I be always trying to talk about deep things? Like, she's we sitting about to go out and hit the streets of Miami. And I'm like, wow, let me talk to you about this therapy session I just had. And like, we just be going in. No. But like, what I truly value that about our friendship as well. And I love how we operate in similar spaces. So like, you work I work in the marketing and advertising industry. Would you say the space that you spend your time in is also marketing and advertising?
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. It's definitely marketing and advertising. Yeah.
Yes. So there are definitely like overlaps with like professional endeavors, but also like community building work. So we'll get into all of it. We won't get into all of it. But where I would like to start is because when we're thinking about this episode and just like things we've seen online on social media, like Bree recently posted. I'm gonna let you explain it. You recently posted something, and you're like, us social media managers need to get together. So like, let's go ahead and start with that.
Yeah, no, I shared on my stories recently because it's something that I feel like I've been experiencing a lot more, especially, yes, I work in marketing and advertising, but for clarity, my niche or where I hone in is the social media realm. And so as a Black social media manager, something I see so often from brands is like an interest or a want to tap into Black culture without really reinvesting back into the Black community. And it's just so frustrating. So I'm going through content, right? And a part of my role currently is to review all of our social media content, and, you know, I'll either approve it or give feedback. And I'm like, why are we talking like this? Why are we using all this slang and like, you know, Black vernacular? Like, it's weird. This organization was founded by a white man. Yeah. Like, let's keep it consistent. And I was just like, I just had to share that feedback. I was like, hey guys, this is not like how we talk as a brand. It's not how we define our tone across any other channels. Why are we doing this in social media? Like, it ends today. I'm done with it. Because it's like brands want to be so cool and they want to be hip and they want to like be relevant, but they don't recognize like how that takes away from Black creators, especially if they're not reinvesting in those spaces. So I just had to vent. I just had to get up on my podium for a moment.
And like you're saying, like that post receives so much engagement because we see it time and time again. And I think it's interesting because I don't hear this conversation as much around like Gen Z culture is like actually Black culture, but we're calling it Gen Z. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so like that's something that I tap into more. And like I think it's important to like have conversations with Gen Z as well to kind of see like how they approach life. And obviously we have to, because we're thinking about the needs of our client and you know, how we help them to understand those audiences. Yeah. But like to be in people's face and be like, y'all, this is actually Black culture. Like
absolutely.
Let's be honest. Like how do we even divide that? Like how do we show that distinction?
I think it really starts with just having more Black people in the room. Black people who are comfortable speaking up, Black people who are empowered by their managers and their leaders to take up space in those conference rooms, in those idea brainstorm dumps when people are coming up with these campaigns that are biting Black culture. Like there needs to be someone in the room to raise their hand and say like, hey guys, this is not okay. You know, like we can be culturally relevant without necessarily taking away from like a very distinct and like specific culture, right? Because it's not like brands are like parading around tapping into other culture in the way that they love Black culture specifically, because we are like very much so trendsetters. And I really do think it starts there. Like another experience I had, we were developing a Snapchat lens, and you know they send us kind of like a mock-up. Open it up, I started engaging with it, and I was like, why do I look like a white woman? Like my nose is slimmer, my lips, like, and I'm just like, why do we have this like facial kind of like sorry, what's the word I'm looking for here? Setting, right? Where the filter is tweaking my facial features. We don't need to do that. This is about food and fun and So, that was feedback that I shared. But what if I was a white woman and I wasn't in that space? It would have very easily kind of went right over their head.
Yeah.
And so I really do think it starts with having more Black people in those spaces in the marketing and advertising world, especially as it relates to social media and digital spaces.
Yeah. No, that is a fact, because like I've, y'all know what I do. Y'all know what company I work for. And the thing is that I've learned that I can be more vocal at work, and like, I'm gonna pull back the curtain a little bit. Because I feel like I'm in a safe space. Like, obviously this is gonna go online, but like, obviously Brie and I literally talk like all the time, like we said, about everything. And so like, she knows like just like my experience in corporate America. Because bruh,
it's a toughie.
If y'all have been following for a while, like, your girl has not been in corporate America my entire career. And so like, being in this space and being able to build the right relationships and connect with people sometimes is like something I have to navigate.
Absolutely.
So let me let y'all know what it is, what ain't. Obviously, when you get into a job, you have a manager, you have someone that's like rooting for you, helping you with your development, your growth, and all that. And so like, as we know, also the marketing advertising industry is not very racially diverse. I'm saying racially diverse very specifically because people like to say, oh no, we've made a whole bunch of progress because now we have this kind. But it's like, the facts are we still need more Black people in the marketing advertising industry, period. And if you're racially diverse.
Want to say, just because you put Black people in your commercials or your brand campaigns doesn't mean there are Black people that are actually in those offices that are managing those campaigns and driving those ideas. So like, these brands are saying like, oh, we're so diverse because like maybe you have a Black athlete that's representing your brand. So people are like, oh yeah, but who's in the room like when you guys are editing those things to make sure that it's like not offending anybody? Or like, who's in the room when you guys are sourcing those influencers? Like, let's be honest about that too.
Yeah.
But go ahead, continue.
I'm like this. And I need to like take some notes or something. But it's like that's fact. And the thing is that when there is just like one Black person in a room, or one Black person that may be privy to it when the campaign is already done or something like that, that proves to be challenging. And so like, I've been with my company for, it's about to be a year, and like, what, by next week, yes, I want to celebrate. And so like, my my manager is a white woman who I think is like dope and super amazing. She was also in my interviews as well. And so it's great to be able to work with someone that is helping to develop my skill set and to help develop my career in this space, who was also part of my interview. But I also now have a Black woman as a manager. And this Black woman literally raised her hand to be my manager because I was being pulled into DEI work, diversity, equity, and inclusion with the company. And so now I have different perspectives when it comes to my growth and development. And they're also women. And so it's like, there's that piece where we're able to connect. But now I also have someone who's also like, give me the game. You know what I mean? Not everyone is going to give you the game. Like, not everyone is going to see your blind spots or see your gaps and be open about addressing it to you and like also the other people that are managing you. And so I can say I'm super grateful that I have those different perspectives, but I'm also able to look at like a very seasoned Black woman in this profession to say like, all right, this ain't it.
Yeah.
Makisha, I'm letting you know.
Yeah.
This ain't it. Or try this. Consider this perspective. I'm just like, wow, I didn't even think about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
that is such like, that is so invaluable.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that is just like,
yo,
it is a gem.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say that all Black managers are good managers.
Right. All skinfolk. Y'all know that. All skinfolk ain't kinfolk.
But like, having a good manager is a game changer for you. Career wise, it really is a game changer. Having a manager that sees their role more so as that of mentorship, game changer. Yeah. Because they put you in those positions to have more visibility. They put you on the projects that will challenge you and stretch you and they also teach you how to navigate the nuances of corporate America. Because it's one thing to be a woman in corporate America, it's another thing to be a Black woman in corporate America. So
I was literally just on a call yesterday. I think it was called Women Rising or something like that. I got to get it correct. But it was put together by Judy Jackson, who is the VP of Culture and People at WPP, which is the holding company that owns Ogilvy. And so like she is not playing about the diverse talent at Ogilvy. And so she created this space for conversation for Black women who are well into their careers. So I just learned that the CEO of Edelman, the marketing advertising agency, is a Black woman. The CEO of Edelman.
I did not know that. That's news. That's huge. I did not know that.
Yo. And so like to see her vulnerability on that call and being honest with us and telling us that like this shit ain't easy. This is the first time I actually cussed on my podcast.
Welcome.
I was really trying to censor myself.
I'm glad I could be a bad influence for you.
Yo, I mean, and for those who don't know, because like obviously our audience and like the people that we connect with are creators, and so we find that our audience tends to be creators who create outside of work and who are not necessarily doing this thing full time.
Yeah.
So you may not know what Edelman is, but like, you know, you can look it up. EDELMA.
There's a whole world of marketing agencies out there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, man, that was but that was just so beautiful to see these seasoned veterans. Like one of them was, she is the VP of experience at VML Y&R, and like she was literally in Dubai, like on that call, like in like the little area of this restaurant, just having this conversation with us.
Is that something that you want for yourself? Do you want to kind of move up the ranks in corporate America in the marketing and advertising space?
Hold on,
it's not my job to ask questions, but you know, I had to switch it up real quick.
She flipped it up on me like, sheesh. Wow, no. I love that you asked that question, though.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, no.
Same.
Like honestly, it's not. And like even if my coworkers and like my managers and whoever like listens to the episode, they're clear on what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Like I can wake up every morning and do this, literally host this podcast because I feel like this is what God has gifted me to do. But to rise in the ranks in corporate America, I don't know if I want to take that L. I don't know if I want to carry that cross for 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that so much. I think that what really changed my perspective when I was working for the cruise lines, I was working in the digital marketing space, and I had like a rock star boss. Like everyone saw her as this like rock star, right? But I spent so much time with her because I was basically like at her right hand that I saw like other sides of it. She had 2 small children and a husband, and she was the director of our team. And we were a small team. We were nimble, a little scrappy. And she was always there and always available. And it was like crazy. There was like no boundaries. There were times where like, you know, like she would, you know, sign on early and log off late. That was one side of it. But then another side of it was that like, it was like her life. Like she had been with the company for 10 years and it was like her life.
Yeah.
Like it was what she did. And her entire strategy was to move up and was to do that. And I think that's great, you know, if that's what you choose to do with your career. But I don't think that I could have any one thing be that consuming in my life ever, because there are so many other ways that you can kind of like activate your life and make it so fulfilling and so rich. I could not see that being in a 4-walled cubicle 40 hours a week in the long term. I have my reasons for being in corporate America. I think everyone else does, but it's definitely not to be a CMO or I don't see that in my future. No.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said that, because I do think a lot of people do feel that way.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like the pandemic has really shifted that thought process for a lot of us.
Absolutely.
Like we had a lot of time to sit at home and do this,
girl.
Wait a minute.
The life that I got back when I was able to start working from home. Jesus. Oh my God. Y'all, like top tier.
Yes.
Top tier.
Tussling in the traffic. Tussling.
I don't even want to talk about it too much. I ain't trying to get riled up.
And Brie has road rage. Low key.
Low key. Like, I'm a little fiery sometimes. I don't have patience for being on the road.
Not at all.
I know you be traumatized
so
in that passenger seat.
It's you and Liz. Y'all be going off on the road. I'm just like, it's okay. Like maybe
like, no, get over.
No, but it's true. Like you really have gotten a lot of your life back. And I think if companies are wise and if companies actually care about the employees and want their people to do great work, they'll understand that there's a certain life.
Yeah. Outside of work, yeah.
Yeah, that we need.
Do you feel like you have good work-life balance right now?
Whoosh. As of the last few weeks, I think so. Like, I would say a little bit more. Before I was like, oh, I gotta.
I was doing too much.
I was doing a lot. You literally asked me that the other day. You're like, Maki, do you feel like you like? I think what's that you asked me? Like, do you feel like you talk about work a lot, or do you like? And I was like, wow, I really do realize I'm giving a lot of energy. I'm giving a lot of energy to this.
Yeah. It's easy to get caught up.
Yeah. But the reason why I think just like many people, I'm still battling this whole I gotta work 10 times harder. You know, I gotta, and then it's not just about I gotta work harder. It's also I have to increase my visibility.
Yeah.
Because it's like, especially since we're working in a remote environment, like I'm not walking past no one's desk or like, you know, peeking and saying hello. Like that's how I am. When I work in the office and like obviously I like the people that I work around, I'm gonna keep coming by your desk. So like keep coming by and like saying hello and things like that. And so it's like now there's like this extra step of I gotta slack you. Hey, and like try to I do think small talk has been eliminated in a way for the most part, unless it's like that first 30.
Thank you, Lord.
Right. Unless it's like that first 30
not
seconds
a fan
of
of small talk.
Oh, girl. Walking back. Yeah, the weather's great.
If you ask me one more time what the weather is like, we're not talking about it. We're not doing that. Let's get to it.
Nah. Yeah, no, like that's real. But like now just that added step of, you know, talking in Slack or just like adding maybe 15, 20 minutes to someone's calendar. But it feels like you have to actually have like an agenda item so that you can like build that like put that time on someone's calendar to build that relationship. And it's like, it's because we need to be talking about something specific.
Yeah.
At least that's how I see it. Like I literally had like close to a 2-hour conversation with a strategy director yesterday. And like, we had a real talk conversation and he knows, I mean, I don't know if he's going to listen to this episode, but he's a whole white man. And
he's
like
a whole white man, not a half white man.
A whole white man. And like, we just went on and on talking about so many different things and people like him, I really appreciate. Like, I don't got to like fake it or like, you know,
it's so exhausting having to wear a mask at work. I find it incredibly challenging to find space for my personality at work. I do. I mean, like, I think when people probably see me, they're like, oh, she's cute. But I have a big personality. I do.
She sure do.
I'm very vocal, and I'm very opinionated. And in corporate America, they will hire you oftentimes for your expertise and your knowledge, but then kind of want you to be quiet in the room. Like they want you to be in the seat to say that they let you in. But I don't know that they're always comfortable with what you actually have to say. And right now, I'm finding it really challenging to create space for my perspective and my personality on my current team without feeling like I'm rocking the boat every time I have something to say. And so like, again, like, I don't know, like, it's really nice when you find people that you can work with or you can be yourself. But again, I do find that to be a consistent challenge for me. Yeah. Like, I would not say that I'm 100% myself at work. Over the years, I'm getting better. I'm getting there. Maybe I'm like 70% right now.
Yeah, 70%.
Yeah, because girl, I still be snatching that wig off in my front seat as soon as I pull off. Like, you know, so there's definitely a switch there. But
that's really big because like I've also struggled with that. And like not only just struggling to like be myself. But there's another part of it where I've experienced where people try to act in a way that they think will be relatable to me. Like I had one manager a few years ago, like a few years ago. And I remember and she was a white woman.
Yeah.
And she was like,
why do we keep revealing? Is it like
people want to know? Like, I'm sure in your mind, as you listen to this podcast, you're like, is she white or black? Like, which one is it? That's how black people think, bro.
We'll
like,
just
it's
keep
always
doing
like
race reveal.
right, race reveal. But it's like, oh.
But yeah, go
but
ahead.
like, she was like, yeah, girl, da-da-da-da. And I was like, I'm not gonna say yeah, girl, back to you. I'm not gonna speak in the yeah, girl. The I'm not gonna do that.
She said, sis, I would have.
Woo! We would have.
She was getting there.
She was trying to be on her way, but it was afterwards, like when I had left that job, that I realized at different points when I was there, she was like I had experienced different microaggressions. By the time I didn't realize that's what it was.
Yeah.
And like also, I mean, I don't know if I've like shared this part, but like growing up, I've been in like different spaces. So I remember the first time I like left the city, for example. Ooh. I was in middle school, so I was like 13, 14 years old. I went to this leadership conference in DC and my parents let me go. And when I went on that trip to be around all these other young leaders, I was like one of the only black kids. And so I was exposed to like blue eyes, blonde hair, white folk. And I was just like, what kind of world is this?
Yeah.
Being in Miami, I did not go to school with people who didn't look like me. Like for the most part, especially my middle school, black as hell.
Same.
Opalaka. You know, if y'all know North Day Middle School, like that's
where
you know,
you grew up. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was really exposed.
So it was
like,
almost like a reverse culture shock, I guess.
Yeah, a bit of a reverse cultural shock. But I don't feel like. But now, like looking back and thinking that I had to like be this chameleon and like be in these spaces, it's just like another skill that you build. Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's also exhausting. So now I'm just more so like, you know what? If y'all don't like me for who I am, like if y'all,
it is what it is.
It's nothing I can do for you. Like what?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's really nothing I could do. And so
Facts.
The whole like, I know my sisters, because like sometimes when I'm on like calls and like my sister's like near me, she'll be like, man, Maki, like you sound like a different person when you was on that call, like code switching.
Bag.
Bro, get your bag up. That's what one of my mentors said to me recently. Like, Makisha, what? You didn't get your bag up. Jeez, Kevin Green, y'all. Kevin said that to me. Kev, and I know Kevin not gonna listen to this episode too, but it's all right. It's all right.
I'm dead.
But yeah, it's exhausting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Exhausting.
Okay, I feel like we've talked a lot about like the challenges of being
we have,
right?
Yeah.
So
wow,
what are the things that you appreciate about it?
That check.
Absolutely, right? Because it helps fuel your creative passions, right?
Yep.
It's like, I spend a few hours a day doing this and it might be a little challenging and exhausting, but then I clock out, I get to unzip. Morph back into my true self, and now you have like the resources that you need for your creative aspirations. And one thing I will say that I'm super grateful for is the level of experience that I've gotten, like working with global organizations. They have like so many resources and you find ways to like make shit happen.
Yes.
And you can translate that so easily into like your personal brand or like, creative endeavors and things like that. And it helps you really understand like how the world moves and like how much money is really out there too. Yeah, I will say I'm grateful for that.
Oh yeah. It's so funny that check is the first thing I said, but it's true. It really does fuel.
Like y'all know why I'm here.
I came here to make some money. Like, I don't know what y'all
you know why I'm here.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. No, facts.
Crystal.
And like on top of that, and not being able to fuel like things like this, being able to book studio time.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But it's also like the access to resources too, and the resources being like, the tools like research platforms. People. Is also the people. Like I work with incredibly smart people, and a lot of them are Gen Z. I'm not Gen Z. I'm a millennial. And so like
let's clear that up.
Let's be clear. I'm not your age. But people don't realize like people
elder.
Bro, people at work really think I'm like 24, 25. I'm just
it's
like
the black, it don't crack.
Bro, and it'll never crack. Just keep drinking that water. Decrease your sugar intake. Decrease your sodium intake.
Somebody come take the mic.
No, seriously, I gotta be on top of it. But yeah, but it really I'm joking. Like, yes, they are my colleagues are a bit younger than me.
Yeah.
But there's so much to learn from them.
Oh, absolutely. Gen Z is honestly, I'm gonna give them their props. They're cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm cussing a lot. I'm cussing a lot.
It's okay. Pollyanna was actually the first person to cuss on my podcast today.
No. Okay, my bad. I'm gonna keep it PC.
FCC? I'm dead.
I'm gonna keep it PC. But yeah, no, they're really dope. Like, and they care about things genuinely.
Yeah.
And they care about other people, and they're not as self-serving as maybe previous generations, which is pretty dope. Like, they care about the environment and they care about racial issues and LGBTQA plus communities and so many things. And it challenges us, right? It challenges other generations. It challenges brands. It challenges like family.
Yes.
Like, we're held accountable, I think, by that generation. And that, I will say, is really dope.
Yeah.
I do really appreciate that about Gen Z.
Yeah, no, same. And I love working with them. They're super smart. And then it's also what I appreciate about being in the corporate America space.
Yeah.
Is, so I said, is the resources to like access to different platforms and tools.
Absolutely.
For research, and it's also the people that I work with.
Yeah.
But then there's also this like network of people outside of my company too who are in the marketing advertising space. So there's like Ad Color. Like, I raised my hand to be a part of the Black at Ad Color team that partners with WPP. And so like we're figuring out ways to build community for those that are in the entry level, mid level, senior, executive, entrepreneur, helping black vendors, helping black vendors really connect to the right companies, increasing supplier diversity. I'm actually really excited to get into that part of it because I don't have like as much knowledge about supplier diversity, but learning about it and then probably see if I can implement some.
Yeah.
So like, it's really cool, like hearing other people's experiences and other agencies as well, and like building their own companies and now having bigger brands that are their clients too, you know. That's when you have some good relationships with your clients. But anyway, I'm not trying to imply anything necessarily, but I think that's a really great thing too. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I love how you switch it up. Like, you're like, we've been talking very.
I know.
We've been going on and on.
The reason why I thought the pivot was necessary is because there are reasons to stay, right? I've experienced a lot of growth in terms of my salary in a short span of time because of corporate America, because of the opportunities that are out there. I've gotten so much experience. I've met people. I've seen what's possible. It's challenged me like intellectually as well, because you're, like you said, like you work with really talented people and they tell you what they're reading, they tell you what they're watching, they tell you what they do on the weekends, and you start realizing, oh, I can add that to my life, or I can dip my toe into that, and it grows you as a person. So I don't want to give any listeners the impression, because like, you know, you might have listeners that are just kind of coming into the corporate space, you might have listeners that are exiting. There are two sides of it, and your experience will always be kind of unique. And there are reasons to stay and kind of like hit your goals. If you want to climb the ranks, you can. If you want to, you know, get that bag, get that bag. But I just wanted to share that because it's like I'm grateful for corporate America. It's changed the position of my life in the past few years. I'm not gonna act like that's not true. So there's that side of it too.
Yeah, no.
It's just the whites be whiting. I'm joking.
They gonna listen to them like, what?
Well, goddamn. I'm joking.
What does she mean by that? Because sometimes folks be asking me stuff like, what does it mean?
Yeah.
I'll be talking, like, I honestly be like talking in slang and Slack sometimes.
Yeah.
And like folks really be asking like, what does that mean?
What does that mean? They trying to jock your swag. I'm showing my age the way I just said that.
Jocking your swag.
No, that's funny. We were in a meeting the other day and they were like, guys, did you guys know that like the Gen Z kids are calling us old heads? I'm just like, oh, that is a black term. That is not a Gen Z term. Let's get it right.
Bruh, that exit as somebody gosh.
Yeah. By the end of the meeting, everyone was like, all right, you old heads. I was like, oh my God. I was like, all right, y'all. This it for me.
They invited us to a cookout.
Right.
Shut up your mouth.
It's time for a lunch break.
Oh my God. Bro, I'm dead. No, that's true. That's true. But I definitely think like
what? I just want y'all to know, Makisha's jokes. She's jokes.
Bro,
She's jokes.
I'm literally always rolling.
Always. If I was to show you our text thread, you guys would be like literally crying tears. Just jokes all day. Just jokes.
Bro, just be talking. No, but I obviously like corporate America has done a lot of good for us. Mm-hmm. It's also tried the hell out of us as well.
Yeah.
But I definitely want people to continue to see like different perspective, so it's not about us as like workers, but we also believe in like taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely.
And like that's a practice. I started therapy in October of last year, and like has been a major game changer in just like, you know, just how I live. It's impacted my relationships positively. You know, it's allowed me to be more comfortable with uncomfortable conversations, setting boundaries. And so like, girl, I want to dig into that a little bit, because like we're seeing online. I feel like even that sounds like kind of old to say. I was looking online.
On the internet.
Bro.
On the interwebs, on the World Wide Web.
Oh my God. I was on the World Wide Web the other day. And no, like there's like this narrative going around about soft life.
Easy life, easy living, a life of
ease. Yes.
Living a soft life, luxury.
I'm gonna let you get into. I'm gonna let you describe that, because like, sometimes I feel like people come up with like these terms online and it sounds so revolutionary, but it's like, girl, soft life just mean taking care of you. Like, why we gotta make this whole thing? People doing the most.
But you know what? I do think the distinction is important. I do.
Okay, go ahead. Say your piece.
Yeah, I do. I just want to say I commend you for starting therapy. That's dope. I've said this offline, but I was like, I'll lie too.
Yes.
It is a game changer. It really is. I started taking therapy really seriously when the pandemic hit, because I was starting to work from home, and I was having a really hard time setting boundaries between my work life and my home life. And it was starting to wear down on me, and I was experiencing burnout. And then I started therapy, and it was like a light switch. Ding.
I thought you were in therapy before that.
No, I started seriously and consistently April of 2019, a couple months after we were on lockdown. Yeah.
No, April 2019? April 2020?
When did the lockdown start? It was
March 2020.
That was 2020, not 2019. Okay, 2020. Thank you.
Girl,
I had a moment there.
I remember when I was still living in DC and we were on the phone and we were talking about therapy. I literally remember saying to you, I don't need a therapist.
Yeah, I was like, okay, girl, whatever, bye.
You're like, okay, well, you know, that's a personal choice. That's Bree's favorite phrase. You know, Mikey, that's a personal choice. You know, and I'm just like,
I ain't trying to tell you how to live your life. Sis.
Okay, true. But it was, like I'm happy that I do think that conversation really helped me though, because at the time when I was like, all right, do I want to renew my lease and continue to stare at these walls? Even though like I was like living with Liz and like, you know, we're like lit. But I was like, do I want to continue paying rent? Nah, not really. And so I remember I was like, that's going to be one of my goals when I move back home, to find a therapist. Yeah. And I found a therapist a year later.
That's dope.
I guess I got serious about it. But
yeah. So on the soft life thing, I think that like, we're still like, everyone is still kind of defining what self-care looks like, right? So we kind of like have these like movements that we've been experiencing on social media. There was like the boss bitch movement, right? Where like everybody was like overworked and like
girl boss,
packing their schedules and like bragging about meetings and bragging about being tired and working 80 hours a week. And everybody thought it was so cool and made that person important. But then people started experiencing burnout and the pandemic happened. And then it became about self-care, right? We started talking about self-care. But I think that the approach that a lot of people took with self-care is like, I'm still going to like run at full speed, but only when I need to, like only when I'm about to experience burnout, I'll take that little break and I'll have a self-care moment. And I think that soft life is kind of like the meeting place where it's like, I want to live a life of ease all the time. I want every day of my life to be a celebration of my life where I'm not like fighting, striving, struggling, you know what I mean? Like just trying to keep up, where it's like, no, I welcome ease into every aspect of my life. And I don't have to take these self-care breaks in order to feel that. And so that's why I still think the distinction is necessary because, as you know, Makisha, it was so I lived in New York for a year. And one of the reasons why I came home was that I was like, I want to live a life of ease. I have to fight for everything in New York. And from the moment I opened my eyes, when I was living in New York, from the moment I opened my eyes to the moment I closed my eyes at night, I was fighting for something, fighting for a seat on the train. Struggling with my heavy ass bags of groceries because I had to walk. I couldn't drive, you know what I mean? Or like going shopping or like going to a brunch, the commute, like everything was a journey or a fight or a mission. And I think that for a lot of people that fuels them, and it can be like really exciting. And it was for me for a long time, but I got to a point where I was like, this is too much of a struggle. Some of these things I just want to be easy so that I have capacity for other things in my life. Wow. So I support the soft life movement. I do. I do.
Yeah, that's real. I'm definitely not saying I don't support it. But what I will say,
trying to tussle.
Girl, my friends know me. I literally just be tussling all day and all night. But
what?
I think it has to become a mindset shift to get to the place where you're like, okay, I can live a soft life. So, wow, okay, where do I start?
Oh, I feel like I need a water break or something.
No, so like being a child of an immigrant. Who was I just talking to this about? Oh, I was just talking to Jeff. Jeff always want to tussle with me, have these conversations. But Jeff is my brother, by the way. But being a child of immigrants and like seeing my parents fight for stuff every single day for the last 29 years of me having breath in my lungs.
Yeah.
Being around that, you come to a point where that's all you really know.
Absolutely.
And then you have to come to a point where you unlearn that and choose a different path and choose something different from yourself.
Yeah.
But even when I try to unlearn this thinking, this pattern of thinking, and get out of these cycles of constantly fighting for things that I want, I like still see my parents
fighting, struggling.
And they're still fighting.
Yep.
And I'm just like, I'm not in a place where myself and my brothers can retire our parents. Like, I feel like there's still a few years ahead of us to be able to do that. But it's like, all I gotta do is look at them and I'm like, the fight continues. Like, I still gotta, and I'm trying to have this balance with like my own life. I'm trying to have ease and have boundaries in my own life.
Yeah.
But it's like, I still feel like I have to sacrifice pieces of that so that I can help my parents and be there for them, because what's the result of me not helping them? Now I'm gonna feel like, oh shoot, now I'm a bad daughter. Or like now I can't take care of them. Like, man, they might love me less, or like, you know, they're gonna compare me to my brother. Like Jeff is not even the youngest, but I feel like we already talked about this. Like I have 3 brothers, 1 older, 2 younger, and like my youngest brother, he has Down syndrome, and so like he's everybody, like everyone is gonna, you know, whatever. But like I feel like Jeff is really the baby. You know, he'll highly disagree with that, but I don't care. And so it's like, and then you kind of have your parents like comparing, like, you know, all right, if you're not gonna do it, I'll just ask Jeff to do it, or you know, and you start to feel bad, you know what I mean? And then like, you know, boundaries is something that we talked about as well. Like me learning to have boundaries in like my personal life, having boundaries with myself, having boundaries with my friends or the people that I date, different things like that. And then it's like, it starts to work for me. I start to build this cycle of like taking care of myself and addressing my needs and wants. But the moment that I set those boundaries with my parents, it's like,
different ball game.
Yo, they take it personally. You know, they're just like, they make you feel like you don't love them. I'm just like, I do love you, but I gotta love me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. Wow, you said a lot there.
Like that's a tough one for me. Like
it's a lot of things.
I'm not living soft life. I'm not there yet.
But I think you can have both, because I can relate to that. Like, I was raised by a single mother who had 3 children. She immigrated here when she was 16.
Wow, she was young.
Yeah, she came here when she was 16, and she has fight and scrapped and clawed for the things that she has. She doesn't have much, right? But it was definitely a fight to get to where she is now.
Mm-hmm.
And even still, I don't feel like she's living her life in a way that's comfortable, that I feel comfortable leaving her in, right? So I know that my role is to put her in a position where she does have that comfort, where she is living a better life. And unfortunately, there isn't much financial literacy there. You know, like, there are times where I've tried to kind of instill that, you know, with my family. And I'm like, hey, let's talk about your retirement plan. Hey, let's take another look at your budget. But again, you go from island life to kind of being thrown into an entirely different culture. And you have people telling you what you can and can't do, or what you do and don't qualify for. And so the way that she sees money is a world apart from the way that I see money. I think she sees money more so as a ball and chain, as kind of like something that is a point of stress that weighs her down. And I see money as a tool of opportunity, right? And so there's a big difference there. And so while I recognize that I do have to support her, right? It's right around the corner. It's coming. You know what I mean? But I don't think that I necessarily have to deny myself certain things in order to meet that goal, to turn around and be able to help retire my mother. And I think that for me, the balance there is getting to a place where, it's almost like full circle when we're talking about corporate America. It really just comes down to understanding how to communicate your value and asking for the things that you want, so that you can make more money doing the same amount of work and have more comfort, better benefits, etc.
That's a toughie.
It is tough, right? Like, we're not going to pretend that just because you're aiming for a soft life, that's what your life looks like every day. It's not, because there are periods of time where, like, all I'm doing is striving and fighting and struggling because I have a goal in mind. But that to me isn't sustainable. That's not something that I look to have my life look like long term. But nonetheless, like, for me, one of my key goals in the coming months actually is to, like, almost like double my income, right? Like, I'm looking to transition and find an opportunity where I have more flexibility with where I'm working. I'm making more money, so I'm in a position to, like, you know, open up a retirement account for her, things like that. Start kind of like getting the wheels turning. I know it's not going to happen today, but like what it looks like 3 years from now or 5 years from now will change. But I don't think that, you know, like, I think that for some people it's like, oh, let me get 3 jobs. For me, it's like, how can I learn how to best communicate my value so that I can get this money from these people?
Yeah.
And that's what it's about for me. It's like, okay, cool. Like, is there a class that I can take for, you know, to learn how to become like, present myself as like, you know, like a senior level, you know, executive or whatever the case may be, and just take that, tweak it, apply it to my search, find a higher paying role. And then that way I can use that additional income to start building on some of those goals without necessarily having to sacrifice my work-life balance.
Yeah.
So I think there's a way. And I think that oftentimes because we see our parents fight and struggle so much, we think that that's the only way to get forward or push forward. But I've learned or unlearned that trait. And I'm learning now that there's a way that you can kind of like just work smarter. But I'm not negating the fact that to get there, you know, it is a challenge. Like, it's not, you don't just wake up one day and like land a 6-figure job. You know what I mean? No, it takes work, right? Like, you're making connections and you're doing this and all the things, right? But personally, I'm just not willing to sacrifice that. I'm not a happy person where every single day of my life is a fight. I need that balance, right? Like, it's what actually keeps me going.
Yeah.
So I think there's a way you can find that like in between space where it's like, I'm going to commit to a struggle for, let's say, like 3 months because I have a goal in mind. But after that, I'm going to allow myself to enjoy what I've worked for and embrace a life of less resistance, a life of more ease, and invite that into my space more often.
Yeah. Wow. Pastor done push. Who knew? The pastor preached. The pastor preached.
Oh, my goodness.
For us. And wow, things that we gotta wrap it up.
I know,
in
right?
A second.
What time?
We probably gonna have to wrap it up by like 12. It's like a 7 minutes.
Okay, cool.
But I love everything that you said. I also think like this reminded me of a question my therapist asked me was, what are some self-limiting beliefs that you have?
Jesus.
What are some self-limiting beliefs that you hold true for? And I'm just like,
wow. Oh my God. There's so many. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's true, right? Like, fear is a sneaky little bastard because it'll try to convince you of things that just aren't true. And for me, like growing up poor, I didn't even know, mind you, like a little sidebar, I didn't even know I was poor. I didn't know I was poor till I left and went to college and realized that everybody wasn't living how I was living. And the way that we lived was technically considered poor. But growing up, having to kind of like, just be smart about things. And I never went without anything. I never, like went without a meal or anything. Thank God. But we didn't have like all these extra things. Growing up that way, I think that it took me a very long time to recognize that I deserved more. That it was okay to ask for more money. That it was okay to have those kinds of aspirations, to want to like welcome that kind of abundance in your life. That it was okay to have nice things and not feel guilty about it. That it was okay to say like no, right, to hard work. That was like, for me, like very much so like, oh, you don't deserve that. Like, why should you get those things? It took me a while to recognize that like, but I do. But I do though. And embrace those things and welcome them into my life. And I think the same is true. Like, I think sometimes I also struggle with the idea of like limitless success, thinking really big, like having that hunger to be like, like really push yourself out there and see like just how successful could I be if I push myself to the max. I struggle with that sometimes. I do.
Because it's exhausting. Like if you're pushing yourself to your limit, like. And the thing is that what I find that we learn the more we push ourselves is that we thought our limit was here. And as we continue to push ourselves, we realize that our limit is actually here. You know what I mean? But even that process is really tough. Like
grueling.
one of my self-limiting beliefs is that if I don't hustle for it, if I don't fight for it,
then you didn't earn it.
Yeah, or if it was too easy to get, then I'm just like, well, it's a little harder to appreciate, but it's like, and that is like, I don't think toxic is the right word, but like, that's not a good way to think. Like, I gotta fight for every single, and like when things come to me easily, girl,
you almost like want to reject it because you're like, oh no, this was too easy. This isn't a good thing.
Exactly. Was this really meant for me? Like, I don't really know. And then you start to question the good things that come your way. You know what I mean? Like, I vividly remember like some of the things that I've been able to enjoy, like, in my 20s. We're in our last year in our 20s.
Well, technically, I still got a little more time. Oh! Give me a week.
She got 29 1 week. But yeah, like there are things that have come to me with ease, and it's because like, girl, you planted that seed.
Oh, absolutely.
Long time
oh,
ago.
Absolutely. I even feel that sometimes in my relationships. Where I'm like, why are people sharp? Like, why are people being like? And then I realized, like, girl, you pour love into people too. Like, you deserve to have that return to you. Like,
yes.
It's such a tricky thing.
Yes, and I love that you said, because I also feel like I've been experiencing that in different ways. Like the other day when I texted y'all, like, anyway, I want to know this.
We're gonna have a private podcast.
I want her to know this. No, but this dude, this guy that I went on a date with before, like made a candle for me, and that was so nice of him, and like, was like literally gifting it to me, and I was like, nah, how much this thing costs? 'Cause I want to support you, you know what I mean? But like, that was really nice of him, and like, I've experienced that with just like different people just being nice and doing nice things. I'm like,
giving to you, giving more. I think that the minute you kind of like open your heart up to receiving things, you recognize that people are willing to give more, whether it's of themselves or it's gifts or it's acts of service. It's like a crazy thing. It's also like a thing, like if you're dating, like if you say I'm opening up my heart to meeting someone, all of a sudden the niggas pop up. Like where you was at? Like where you been at?
Well, I was tussling. See that's gonna be a whole nother podcast.
Though. It's true. But
if we need to do a few sessions, like just say that. Just say that. Like I love the topic of dating. Whew. I gotta think about that.
This is Maki on the move, honey. We talking marketing, advertising, creative, entrepreneurship.
But we got, you know what I'm saying? We got like a side conversation. Yeah. They gonna be okay. Y'all gonna be all right. Cause y'all talk about these things with y'all friends
Maki
anyway.
On the mimosas.
No, but like we should bring a little drinky drink.
A little drinky drink. A little curated cocktail.
A curated cocktail. But no, okay. Woo, I have a client call in a few minutes. Okay. So I want to thank you so much, Bree, for coming on my podcast with me today. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Bruh. And I just love how we can like literally talk about any and everything and people can learn from it. Like I've been craving this for so long. Oh, man. So I don't need like Sneak to put a microphone in our conversation. Like on this episode of On the Move with Maki. But like, no, do you have any last words you want to say to the people? You know?
Yeah, no. I mean, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure just chit-chatting with you. I really enjoy talking to you because I can always just be my true self.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful thing that there's also value there. So it's a win-win. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I enjoyed the conversation a lot, and I'll be waiting on my phone call.
Oh,
call my assistant.
Wow.
For part 2.
Wow. Go ahead. Let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Briana Philippe _. And coming soon, you'll find me on my blog.
Yes. Yeah. Make sure y'all hold her to it.
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to hold me to it. It's in the works.
But
yeah, no, check out my blog where I talk about lifestyle. I talk about career. I talk about health and wellness and how I manage and balance all of those things as a creative that also has dreams and aspirations and all the wonderful things. So yeah, check me out. It'll be BrianaPhilippe.com.
Yes. It is on the way.
We on the way.
Period. Y'all, I want to thank y'all so much for tuning into this episode because this one was really fun for me. Like I'm at home within this conversation. So y'all, thank you so much for tuning in on this episode of On the Move with Maki. I'ma see you next time.
Yay!
Yes.